Welcome to Sergeant Sue on the mic, Airman's Journey in the Air National Guard. I'm your host, Sergeant Sue, and this is the podcast where we sit down with real airmen and have real conversation. So,
come see us, get inspired, aim high, fly, fight, win, get to know the Air National Guard. Write your story, earn that key. Come see us, get inspired.
welcome. We're back with another episode of Tech Sergeant Sue on the mic. We have our honored guest here. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Airman Basic Connor Nelson.
Nice to meet you. Well, I know you from student flight and coming through the process of joining us. Now, can you tell us when you enlisted?
Yes, sir. So my official enlistment date was July 1st of 2025.
Wow, so that was almost 8 months ago.
Just about.
Yeah,
Just about.
How do you feel?
So I'm feeling really good. Came back from basic training. I finished basic training December 11th was my graduation date. And now I've just been working back at the NC Air National Guard for the last month-ish.
Nice. Now let's start from the beginning,
Sure.
right? So let's start what made you decide to join in the first place? Or was it something you always thought of since you were a little kid to join?
Honestly, never something I really thought about joining until probably about a year and a half ago. I first ended up enlisting because I just realized as I was working my career that I just wasn't finding any pride in it. I wasn't finding any joy. A lot of my career was sales. And in the sales industry, it's just very kind of cut and dry. There's a lot of sharks out there. It's just I just felt like I was working for money, but no purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Money hungry.
Money hungry.
And you're always going for the next. All right, I got to get the next sale. I got to get the next sale. It's very empty.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So very empty. Didn't find much pride in my work. And the Air Force provides that proud energy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I'm proud to tell others that, like, hey, I am an airman of the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah.
And it's there's a lot more pride in that than what I was doing before.
Instead of being like, oh, I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
Or I'm a car salesman.
It's just that feeling of like, yeah, I'm in sales. It's like, how many people do you hear say that?
Yeah, a lot
like,
of
I'm in
people.
sales. Or like, I'm in marketing. It's like, okay.
Whoa. I'm in marketing, sir.
Attached to the greatest U.S. Air Force.
True. Yes, so that's my newest role, if y'all didn't know, listeners and viewers, of course. I am the marketing and advertisement NCO of the Air National Guard. I think in the pilot, which I have not done yet, I'm going to do a little introduction of myself. But yeah, that's cool. So tell us, how old are you?
So I'm 27 years old.
27.
Yep, I was born in 1998.
Dang! That's old.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's not up to your territory, but it's getting there.
Yeah, mine is like a dinosaur ages, right? But being 27, so when was your birthday?
September 30th.
September 30th.
Yep, so I turned 27 just before I left for basic training.
Exactly. So how did it feel going into basic training as an older airman? Because most of the airmen, usually active duty or reserve and guard also, they go out 17 and 18. That's like the majority of people.
Yeah, so basic training for me, going in as a little bit older, a little more mature, was, I would say, probably more of a blessing, but there was also a curse in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Responsibility?
Not exactly responsibility, but trying to get through it, realizing that these 18, 19-year-olds, this is their first time out, like, of their home life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at 18 years old, you've never really left the house. So, you know, first night at basic training, you know, you're sleeping by yourself or with some strangers for the first time in your life. So
60 strangers, right?
Yeah. So it's just a whole different ballgame, you know. And by the time that I joined and enlisted and got into basic, like, I have already lived on my own before. Like, I have already had those experiences and a lot more life experience than some of these guys coming in. I mean, almost 10 years more than some of these guys have.
Oh, yeah.
So
definitely.
It's definitely a different dynamic. There is more responsibility that comes with it too, just because as you're an older person at basic, they expect more from you. They expect you to be that leader in front of the ones coming in at 18, 19. So
The little babies.
yeah, just the little ones.
So I enlisted at 25 years old.
Okay.
And sometimes I regretted that I didn't enlist at 17 or 18. And I feel like I would have been further along in my career, or let's say at my age at the moment, I would have been retired by now, right? But instead I enlisted at 25, and most of the reasons, and I talked about this earlier with Technical Sergeant Jackson or JJ, that those reasons were a little selfish, right? I wanted a bachelor's, I wanted a degree, I wanted a bonus, I wanted a skill. But I do sometimes regret it, but think of it on the other flip side is that when I did go in later in life, I was a little bit more mature, less chance for me to get in trouble in the military because of I already got in trouble when I was younger, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that fine line of, okay, now I'm ready to do something with my life better,
Right.
Improve exponentially.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you should have started younger, or do you feel like you started at the right time?
I feel like as you go into it a little bit older, I feel like you're probably always going to have some sort of view on the fact of like, man, like, because I told my parents as soon as I hit that graduation mark when they came to actually see me graduate, that I told them, I said, I wish I would have done this when I was 18. You feel that like this because, I mean, the brotherhood of everything, I mean, you find that out right in basic. Like, it doesn't take long to find out that, like, these truly are, like, your family, and they're there for you the way that you need them to be. It's not like your normal 9-to-5 job where everyone's in there just to collect that paycheck and get out. Like, you have to do this together or else it's just not going to work.
Exactly.
So, yes, I did feel on occasion that, I wish I would have done it at 18, but I'm also really happy just in general with where I'm at right now. I'm happy with my age that I came in at. Like, I'm glad that I could be more of a leader to those others at basic training. The stories I have of, having someone during basic come up to me and ask me for advice or anything like that. Like, it happened more often than not because I have had more experiences, or like I understood more of what was going on in there than they did at the time. So,
Exactly.
I'm super proud that I was able to go in when I did, because I know I made an impact in there that I wouldn't have been able to make if I came in at 18 and probably would have caused more mayhem
of a mess.
Be a menace in there. Yeah, because there's those too.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I totally feel you on that. And I feel like I had some people in basic, friends that I still am with now, that I was able to connect with at that time. And they were younger than me, and they felt like they're very thankful, because you both bestow some knowledge that you didn't think of, or you have an older lens or more wisdom, supposedly, lens in life that you can help out others. I think that us living this life and this journey is up and down, and we're meant to be where we're meant to be when we're supposed to be, I don't know if you're religious or not, but we're not going to bring that up. But anyways, it's like, that's how I feel like life is supposed to be, how it's supposed to be. As long as you do what you're supposed to, being positive, enthusiastic, and work hard in everything you do, life is going to be still up and down, but but it'll eventually work your way to where it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It was a lot of theology there, but
no, but it is. I mean, when you join the military and you get put through basic training, like, the cool part about it is that, like, on the civilian side of things, when you're just going out for jobs and things like that, everyone got that job a different way. Some people have degrees, some people just have certifications, some people just knew somebody within the business. Everybody that comes through here has gone through basic training.
Yes.
So unless they have some civilian, role here that they're otherwise not doing, but other than that, everyone here that's wearing this uniform has all gone through the same exact starting point. And I think that's what kind of makes that, better camaraderie, because everyone knows, like, we all have stories from the same exact place.
Yeah.
We've all been through Lockland. We've all gone to the same, like, different dorm rooms. We've all marched the same streets, like, you just kind of get connected like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy
trauma
how it happens.
bonding.
It is. It's almost like a trauma bond. It's a trauma bond.
Remember that time in basic? Is it still in Lackland? Yeah, it's still in Lackland.
It's the healthiest trauma you could have.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not saying like trauma, but it's memorable, that's for sure.
It's very memorable, and you'll have stories, and everyone says it's going to be the most fun you never want to have again. That's
Exactly.
what most people say.
So tell me about your recruiter, and then the process of calling your recruiter, starting from there to raising your right hand and enlisting.
For sure. My recruiting period was an interesting one, to say the least. When I first had my pick at like how I was going to join the military, I first had the choice between either Navy or Air Force. I went Air Force because I don't like swimming. Yeah, I don't like swimming. So my choice became very simple. It was just Air Force. So chose Air Force. Instantly went to an active recruiter. Started talking to him about active, and he started trying to find me a position. I went in and took my ASVAB test. Scored a 70, I believe, which is pretty decent. That opens up a lot of careers.
Yes, it does.
I don't even know what the number was, but I had a huge list of jobs on my career list. And then I went through my MEPS training, or my MEPS, my medical exams. And after I came back from that, so I have, I'm deaf in my right ear. So completely deaf in this right ear. Yeah,
No,
exactly. No, exactly. That's why I'm glad you put me on the right side here, so I can hear you properly. So, but yeah, so I've got almost complete deafness in my right ear, and they disqualified me from almost every job because of that. My list of jobs went down to about 10.
Dang.
So, my first recruiter, when I was on active side, I was talking to him about it, and he basically said, like, he just sent me a new list of jobs and just like shrugged his shoulders and was like, figure it out, I guess. And that made me feel uncomfortable. And like, I just didn't feel like he cared whether like he just wanted me to pick a new job and go. He didn't really like look into it at all for me. And like, I was just feeling weird about it. So I then heard about the National Guard and decided.
How did you hear about the Air National Guard?
I don't know if I saw it just like, because my buddy in the Navy, I've got a buddy in the Navy that told me a little bit about the military, and I don't know if he mentioned something about the Guard or like there is potentially other options than going like full time. So I don't exactly know what made me initially figure out what the Guard was, but I didn't feel comfortable with my recruiter. So I was like, I'll check with the Guard recruiter, and like that way I can potentially stay stateside because I really liked being in North Carolina. So I was like, maybe that way I can still stay here, have a good group of friends still, and, move on from there. So I randomly just reached out to a North Carolina recruiter for the Guard side and not active, just to see what would happen.
And it was me, the best recruiter ever.
It wasn't you.
Oh, dang.
It wasn't you. You're a good recruiter, but you weren't my recruiter. Not to say if you were, that nothing would have been different, but my recruiter was Technical Sergeant Lowe.
Okay, Low, as I would call him.
Yeah, Technical Sergeant Lowe. He was probably the greatest thing that happened to me within the past year or so with the military.
Awesome.
His motivation to just get me where I was comfortable being was I just couldn't even believe it, how much he cared to get me in a good place. Because when I told him what was going on, he at first even tried to get me a waiver, so you can get a waiver, potentially getting you still accepted into a different career field if you want. And so we tried waivers. He was trying to get me, anything he could. He was reaching out to different parts of the department that he knew that he could get a foot in the door with, just to see hey, this guy wants, because I initially wanted to go into maintenance. So he was like, this guy wants to get into maintenance. How can I make that work for him?
And you were passionate about it, right?
I was
I want to work with my hands. I want to fix things. And that's what you do, as hobbies, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always worked with my hands. I work on, I always work on my car if I can. I was into woodworking growing up. I mean, anything, really. I was a carpenter in Chicago for a little bit. So, I mean, working with my hands has always been a big thing for me. And it's pretty much all I've ever known. So when I came to the military, I was like, I want to be maintenance. I want to work on
Makes
planes.
sense, right?
there's a lot of value in that. Like I would take a lot of pride from saying, like, hey, like I worked on that plane, you know, like I fixed that part, whatever. So that was definitely part of the dream was doing that. So Tech Sergeant Lowe is very adamant about trying to get me that position. Unfortunately, he could not. It just so happened that with my hearing the way it was, I think the Air Force was getting a little more stricter on like how they write their waivers and like how much they let in. Because once you actually get into the Air Force, it's a lot easier to, from what I've heard, it's a lot easier to get in, but they want to make sure that they're being selective about who they bring in, you know. So, which makes sense.
If you're coming in broken and then you get more broken because of us, is it because you're already broken or is it because we broke you?
Right.
It's gonna be like that kind of, you know. How do we know?
Which makes sense.
You know? Yeah,
which makes sense. So
sense.
I wasn't ever like upset about it, but I needed some sort of pivot at that point, you know, because so I had a list of 10 jobs that I qualified for, and one of the greatest things that I felt made me so comfortable with Tech Sergeant Lowe is that he looked at me and he just said, "Do you even want to join the Air Force anymore?" Most recruiters and everyone else is having you talk about military recruiters. They're just trying to get you in to join. They don't really care. They just want to get that number in and then they're good, you know.
Yeah. They just want to get that point. All right, next.
Right.
All right, I got you in. Next.
At least that's what you hear. That's what you hear. And I mean, that might be different active side.
Yeah.
But every recruiter in the NC Air National Guard has been more than helpful for anything that I've ever asked about.
And this is what I tell my recruits, right? Now, you're here and you're seeing me. You've seen Lowe here. So that's the wild part and the great part about being here in the Air National Guard is that the person that recruits you in our office is right by the gym. So the person that recruits you, the recruiter, is going to be right by the gym, is going to be here every drill weekend while you come here during drill weekend. So at least once a month, you're going to see this recruiter. And if you get lucky like you, where you get a temporary technician position, you get to see him every day. So if this recruiter lies to you or cheats you or tricks you, you're going to be like, look, you bad word. I wanted to cuss. I can't cuss. You know? So that's why we pride in ourselves to be truthful, be honest, and very like forthcoming, because if not, you're going to be mad. You're going to see us every drill weekend. We don't want that. We don't want an upset airman coming to us every month, cussing us out and then going back home. We want you guys to be happy. And if you guys are happy, we feel like we did a good job. And sometimes we, like your situation, we can't give you what you wanted, but we try to accommodate. We try to do our very best. Well, continue your story.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
he told you, hey, do you want to join?
Yeah, he said, do you want to join? Like, is this something you're still willing to do? Because he said, honestly, like, I couldn't imagine being in your position, looking at all these jobs you had, and then all of a sudden being dropped down to only 10, probably things that you've never, like, researched, you've never looked into, like, anything. So I took his comment, and I said, you know what, give me a week. I said, let me look at the jobs that are here, you know, let me look at the list. And my biggest goal for joining the Air Force was I wanted a skill that I could take inside and outside of the Air Force, whether I stayed inside or got out, you know, after my 4-year, 6-year contract, whatever I was going to sign. I wanted to be set up the right way for the outside too. So the biggest one that was on there for me was finance. So
that's very hard to get into.
Yeah. So the biggest one on there was financial management. And so I came back to Tech Sergeant Lowe and I just told him, I said, listen, the only way that I'll feel comfortable joining the Air Force is if I get that financial technician position. And there wasn't many available at the time. There wasn't many available, but with, you know, a hope and a prayer, I ended up, Tech Sergeant Lowe worked endlessly to try to figure that out for me, and ended up getting me a meeting with the Lieutenant Colonel of the Department of Finance, and I was able to actually meet with him and talk with him.
Nice.
Which was terrifying.
Lieutenant Colonel, of course.
It's, you know, it was the title, and like at the time I didn't know anything about military. I was like, all I'm hearing is Colonel. I was like, I know that's got to be high. I was like, I know it's got to be high.
You got Colonel, President.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Like, at that point, maybe. I was like, this guy's probably got him on speed dial. So, you know, going into a meeting with Lieutenant Colonel, like, was so terrifying. And then I got in the parking lot, I parked my car, and then I said a very long prayer. So you talk about being religious, I am. But yeah, I said a very long prayer beforehand. I was like, you know what? I need this to go well. Like, I need this to go well, so I don't know what I'm going to say in there, but just help me out, you know? So I walked into that meeting room, and first things first, it wasn't like a conference room. I walked into, it was like a cafeteria. It was like this little tiny kitchen. And we all sat on these little tiny chairs, and I was like, and then there's the lieutenant colonel, and then there's a master sergeant, and then there's a second lieutenant, I believe. And there's these three high-ranking individuals in front of me. I'm just like, all right, like, here we go. And then when they started, as soon as they started talking, all of a sudden my shoulders just dropped because I was so comfortable. I was so comfortable. I didn't feel any sort of like pressure. I didn't feel any sort of anxiety. Like, everything was making sense. And like, the way they were talking to me was just a conversation. Just because these guys have a rank on their chest doesn't mean that they're any better or worse than you. Like, it's just, I mean, they're just another person. So like, after I started talking to them, it was just like, oh, like, I can talk to anybody here. This is great, you know. And they were willing to like hear me out and then talk to me and interview me. And eventually, they told me I got home that day, and within 30 minutes, I got a text message from Tech Sergeant Lowe saying, hey, they really liked you. They want to give you that position when you get back.
Dang, that's good, man. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at that. Your prayers answered.
That's right. That's right.
So this was originally, or this is a DSG position. Which a DSG is a part-time job. It's a 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year.
So no, my position's full-time here.
Oh, it's a full-time job.
It is. So it's a Title 32.
So when you went to do the interview, it went straight to, there was no like, okay, we're going to put you in as a DSG.
Correct.
You got hired on full-time.
Yep.
Oh,
so
okay.
that meeting went so well, and I told them that I didn't want to like go like back to my old job. I said like, listen, like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I want to just be
100%,
like, jump in, because I want my new skills. Like, I want new skills, and I want to be able to practice them.
Yeah,
that was the biggest thing with being a DSG, is like, I just was worried, for me personally, that like 1 week in a month wasn't going to be enough to develop the skill set that I want to develop. You know, and that's communication, that's developing more finance structure and things like that. Like, I wanted to be able to grow all the way through. So getting that full-time position was very appealing to me.
You are one lucky man, because not a lot of people, well, barely anybody out of the whole time that I've been in, is someone going straight from the streets to this is a temporary position, and then as long as you pass tech school, it'll be a permanent technician position.
Yes, sir.
So that's very rare. So you should be very lucky.
Yes, sir.
Whoever you pray to answered your
Yes,
prayers.
very, very
that was
grateful.
amazing.
Yes, sir.
Very, very grateful. So continue working hard and doing your very best.
Yes, sir.
That's one thing, and man, that's amazing. So now that you went to you were in student flight, so you got hired on, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
now you're coming to student flight and coming to your drill weekends before you go to basic.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how that student flight era went? Because it was what, July through December, right? Or June?
July through about, I literally only attended 2 drill weekends.
2 drill weekends.
Yeah,
okay.
it wasn't long at all.
Gotcha.
So I had joined enlisted in July, but we didn't have drill in July.
No drill in July.
So
August.
I came in at the August drill.
September.
And then September.
There was no drill, or there was drill?
There was drill. So it was August and September drill, and then October we didn't have drill.
Okay. And then November?
I was gone.
Oh, you were already gone in November.
Yeah, it was a very, very quick process for me, thankfully.
Lucky,
but I came in right as, it was kind of right at the end of the fiscal year was ending. So as soon as the new fiscal year started in October, all of those dates dropped for people to get back into basic training. And so I think I caught that wave just as it was going through. So
because I think like 13 or 14 people.
It was quick. It was quick. Like, I kept on looking.
Because it was shut down. You already had dates, but then they stopped it because of the shutdown, or no? There's some people that had dates in October. They had to shut it down.
Really?
So they had to wait all the way till November.
Okay.
When they opened up the government again.
So I was at
You were
basic
already
when the shutdown happened.
Oh, okay.
So I think I just caught that perfect
timing.
timing. So
that's a wrap. Another episode of Sergeant Sue on the Mic, Airman's Journey in the Air National Guard. Every airman has a story, and thank you for listening and being part of the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the podcast, share it with someone who might appreciate an airman's journey. I'm your host, Sergeant Sue, and I'll see you on the next episode.
This is your moment, time to fly. Come see us.